DMV 250, sponsored by Visit Williamsburg.
From Betsy Ross to George Washington crossing the Delaware, some of the most famous stories about the American flag have been passed down for generations.
Yeah, some fascinating ones, but are they fact or folklore? RJ Korf uncovers some surprising myths about the Stars and Stripes.
It's no wonder why we adore our flag, from flowing stars and stripes to her iconic palette of patriotism. It's hard to not feel something when Old Glory unfurls. Its very fabric woven into the American story of independence, courage, and pride, present when we celebrate our sporting heroes, and beside us when we say goodbye to our military heroes.
Americans have this unique and very, very strong attachment to our flag. It's an emotional thing.
Some 20 years ago, historian Mark Leipson penned Flag, an American biography, the history of the United States flag, from her humble beginnings to her now ubiquitous place in modern culture.
It's one of the things that's unique about our country.
But Leipson discovered that this powerful symbol of resolve that moves us to place our hand over our beating heart remains to this day cloaked in myth and misinformation.
That period is what some historians have called the growth of the cult of the flag.
We start with George Washington's famed crossing of the Delaware River in late 1776. Leipson says just about every rendition of this moment is incorrect. The flag carried across those icy waters had the Union Jack in the blue canton, not the 13 colonies represented by 13 stars.
Lots of myths.
Next up, the meaning of the flag's red and white colors.
When you hear that the red stands for the blood that was shed and the white is purity, that is not referring to an official government document ever.
Now a national obsession, the flag was not a big deal at all in our first 100 years.
For the first 2/3 of our nation's history, right up until the start of the Civil War, we did not have these feelings about the flag. It was almost unheard of, for instance, for individuals to fly the flag. It was almost unheard. It was basically only used by the military.
Leipson also tells 7 News the flag's popularity skyrocketed.
It went from 0 to 60.
In the late 19th century, early 20th century, due to waves of European immigration. The Pledge of Allegiance, a way for newcomers to feel connected to their new home.
People yearn for symbols of their tribe.
That connection has only grown. Leipson pointing out that the U.S. flag takes center stage in our national anthem.
We're the only country whose national anthem is an ode to our flag.
This historian's final myth may be the most controversial. Leipson says one of Betsy Ross's descendants, more than a century after her birth, held a press conference.
And he announced that his grandmother, Betsy Ross, made the first American flag. And not only that she helped design it with the 13 stars in a circle. So right away, I was going to say it raises the red flag, but we won't go there.
Leipson says based on years of exhaustive research, there is no primary source evidence whatsoever to prove that.
It's just made up. There's no letters, no journals, no diary entries, no receipts, nothing to prove this, but it is held on tenaciously.
Leipson says research points to another person entirely.
There was a man named Francis Hopkinson who was a signer of the Declaration of Independence, and there's a plaque near his grave that says, Francis Hopkinson, designer of the flag of the United States. You know, why do we think it's Betsy Ross and not Francis Hopkins? I don't know, she had better PR machine going.
President Taft officially standardized the flag's design in 1912. The only change since then, the addition of 2 stars for Alaska and Hawaii in 1959 and 1960. I'm Jay Korf for 7 News.
DMV 250, sponsored by Visit Williamsburg.